At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too, because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Good morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Mike Krueger. Thank you so much for joining us here this Monday morning, January 5th. We are well into the 2026 year of 2026, that is. Hope everyone's having a good start to their 2026. It's been an interesting weekend. It's going to be another interesting day. The rain has certainly been something that has been creating some problems and some issues for many of you, especially that conversion sign we saw yesterday just around the Redding area northward, producing some localized flooding there. We also saw the high tides, the king tides along the coast. So it's not just the rain, but the tides along the coast that are producing some pretty substantial flooding in some areas here, especially in Humboldt County over the weekend. And there'll probably be even more as we still expect those king tides one more day before that should start to subside as well. Now, we're expecting a lot more rain today and steady rainfall for the most part in the valley, and that is most likely going to create more localized flooding. Now, the other thing we got to talk about is mudslides and debris flows for the higher elevations, snow in the higher elevations, and that's going to mean chain requirements. We're already starting to see snow, as I was possibly expecting here for Mount Shasta City, and even on I-5 is beginning to accumulate there as well. Now, let's start with taking a look at the rainfall totals of the last 24 hours. Now, if you are under that convergence line, it was definitely more than 89 hundredths that the Redding Airport saw. It was 1, 2, even 3 inches of rain. And of course, that is not being depicted even from the visuals there because, well, the radar site's been down in Butte County. It's known as the Beale radar site. It's in Oroville, and it's been down for the last 2, 3, even 4 days. That's not good when we've got rain and we need to monitor it. So that's still down this morning, unfortunately, but you can see some heavy rainfall towards Crescent City and not nearly as much off to the north and to the east. So we take a look at the chain requirements out there, and pretty much as expected, and the way it's been is most of the chain requirements have been east of I-5. You can see in Highway 89, just east of Mount Shasta, there are chain requirements there, Snowman Summit, for example. I-5, still no chains, but when we see it here in a second, you're going to see that there is snow on I-5 there at Mount Shasta, so we may see that change over. Highway 36 west in southern Trinity County, there are a lot of chain requirements there, as expected. And you head down to the south into the Sierra. I mean, it's just chain requirements galore. All right, so let's take a look at some of those cameras out there. You can see Snowman Summit. Yeah, right, Highway 89. That's what we typically see with these lower snow level events. But look at I-5 in Mount Shasta City. That's at 3,500 feet. Now remember, as we were saying here, that Mount Shasta City was kind of be in that borderline of where that rain and snow kind of transition over. We certainly have that in the form of snow. So I anticipate we could see some accumulating snow in Mount Shasta City. Probably not a ton, but we'll certainly watch that. This is Highway 99. This is kind of up towards Del Norte County. You can see Highway 199, Collier Tunnel. Look at that, 2,000 feet seeing snow. 2,000 feet north of Collier. Oregon state line, looks like they're seeing some snow up there as well. So definitely interesting to see snow that low up north. Now, Shingletown proper, 3,500 feet. No snow there just yet, but you head up a little bit higher in elevation. Viola, snow, right? Lassen Park, that's the entrance there on Highway 44. You're seeing some snow there, as to be expected. In Beauregard Ranger Station, you get these higher elevations. Without a doubt, you're seeing the snow. Now, look at this. This is just outside of Chester that you're looking at here, Highway 36 and Highway 89. So most likely, Chester at this point is seeing snow as well. Now, obviously, Johnson Grade for down your summit, looks like those cameras are down, but most likely seeing snow there. Highway 36 at 44, snow. Town Hill, not necessarily, and looks like in Susanville, looks like you are snow-free at this point at East Riverside, in particular. Hatchet Mountain, starting to see that snow begin to accumulate there at 4,300 feet. The Four Corners, it's northeast of Bernie, looks like it is snow-free at this point, but Cedar Pass, not snow-free. It does have snow up there, but you would expect that at 6,000 plus feet. Confirm that we aren't seeing snow on Highway 299. As expected, Buckhorn Summit, no snow there. That almost looks like snow on Berry Summit, but when you get into that night vision, looks can be deceiving. So we'll have to kind of watch that one closely here, but I don't think we're seeing snow up there. That's at 2,600 feet. And you can see Oregon Mountain at 2,700 feet, seeing that as well. By the way, before we get to that, I want to show you something because this is a great resource that I've created for you. We're going to go weathernorcal.com. So when you go to weathernorcal.com, at the very top, we're going to take you to the very top here. Scroll down and see where it says road conditions. Click on that. Now, I like to really stress this because I really wanted to make this as easy as possible for you. Number one, click on that image right there. That'll take you to the latest road conditions, quick maps from Caltrans. But what I've done is I've taken all the more popular Caltrans cameras, I put them all together. So a quick glance at I-5, 8997. So even if you're in your car and you're scrolling on your phone, in the passenger seat, obviously, you can see where it might be snowing and where it's not snowing on the cameras at a quick glance instead of clicking on each individual camera. Don't get me wrong, what they're doing there at Caltrans is absolutely amazing. Without their resources, I couldn't give you this really easy and quick and easy look at all of the cameras. So be sure to go to weathernorcal.com, click on those road conditions section, and you're good to go. Now, for those of you new to Weather NorCal, do note there is a free Weather NorCal app that is for your Android and for your iPhone. Just search for Weather NorCal in your app store, and there's a 24-hour streaming channel. So if you're watching this from your phone or from say YouTube, even on your computer or even on Facebook, know that if you have a Roku, you can download a Weather NorCal app. If you have a Fire Stick, you can. However, there have been issues with the Fire Stick. Hopefully, we can get that resolved soon. In the meantime, even if you have a Fire Stick, anywhere YouTube is available, including your smart TV. So if you have an Apple TV, you're like, well, there's no Apple TV. Well, it doesn't matter. All you have to do is go to the YouTube app on Apple TV, search for Weather NorCal, and you can get the 24-hour streaming channel there. And what I like about the YouTube app is even on your smart TV, you can watch the latest video forecast. So get the latest video forecast right there on your big screen TV. All right, let's get you to your Krueger's Quickcast. For those of you that are getting ready to head out the door, know what to expect. Not terribly cold, but it's upper 40s in the valley right now. Temperatures in the mid to upper 30s right now for many of you for the higher elevations, mid 40s for the coast. So this morning we are seeing wet weather for pretty much everyone. Snow levels are already down to as low as 3,500 feet. We saw that on the Caltrans cameras in Mount Shasta City. So it could be locally lower than that in some cases. We take a look at the satellite image, and there's that this is going to be the last significant storm that we're going to see for a while. So we've still got a good push of moisture, colder air moving in, giving us those lower snow levels, and it's going to be a little breezy. This is not going to be a terribly strong storm system. That is, we're not expecting the winds to be as strong as they have been, but it will be gusty at times, but probably not enough for downed trees or power outages. So there you can see the flood watch for the areas in green. Now this is until Monday today. This is until this afternoon. We could possibly see this extend into this evening. And the reason being is I'm expecting steady rain in parts of the valley and surrounding the valley as well, and some of the surrounding foothills and mountains. This is what could lead to the potential for flooding in many areas, especially low-lying areas and typical spots that see flooding. And on top of that, even if the rain stops, there's usually that delayed response because you get that runoff coming from the mountains and the foothills, and it's a delayed response, and we see things begin to rise a little bit later after that rain. So we'll see, but bottom line, be on the lookout for that. This is looking at the HRRR forecast model. We'll look at our in-house forecast model in just a bit, but I wanted to show you just kind of what this one is showing. And see here, through the morning, you have that constant feed of moisture. So I'd say light to moderate rain, steady through the day, snow levels around 3,500 feet. And then you can see, look at this, even through the afternoon, we still have that steady flow of rain. This is why I'm most concerned about flooding especially in the valley, as we start to see that runoff, especially from some of the foothills. And then, of course, it starts to taper off as we go into tonight and tomorrow. Now, I want to show you the winds because they will be gusty, but they're not going to be as strong as they have been. We're talking 25, even over 30 miles per hour. So gusty at times, but they will subside later on today, especially tonight and for your Tuesday. Ski Park, as you know, opened up yesterday. That was great to hear. They've got even more snow out at the top of Douglas as of their last report, 34 inches of snow. I could probably check the latest conditions. Let's see if they have anything new coming up there. We'll just take a look at that real quick. Sometimes I do a new report. No, still showing 34 inches. Groomed conditions, no change on I-5, but you did see at Mount Shasta City that they are seeing snow there. So be prepared for the fact that you may need change later this morning on I-5. Chain requirements on Highway 89 as you're heading to the ski park. So there will be snow, obviously, on the Shasta Ski, or the Ski Park Highway as it's known. That's basically the road between 89 to the ski park. Now there you can see, I think we could pick up another 1 to 2 feet of snow at the base of the ski park. So we're going to need it. They're going to need as much snow as they can get out of the system because it's going to be a dry trend after that. You see today? Today's the last little push. We're going to be done with the significant rain after today. And then off and on chances. I think we're going to see very slim chances for rain Tuesday. Better chance on Wednesday, but even then it won't be all that significant. And then Thursday is the transition day. There may be some lingering showers Thursday morning, but through the day on Thursday, mostly dry, and then dry for Friday through the weekend. And if we were to extend this into next week, we're talking dry conditions. So temperatures upper 40s for the valley for today. That's your high today. It's going to be chilly out there. Temperatures upper 30s, low 40s in the mountains, and we got low 50s for the coast. For tonight, we're going to be dropping down into the mid 40s, but tonight in the mountains, quite cold. Dropping down to the mid to upper 20s there, even some low 30s. Looks like low 40s for the coast. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at your 7-day forecast now. Now, taking a look at the valley, so again, rain fairly steady today, light to moderate periods of heavy rainfall, a little gusty at times. I think everyone, for the most part, will see a break on Tuesday. Overcast, drizzly at times on Tuesday, but not any organized systems moving through. And then we're going to see a clipper system come through on Wednesday. That's fairly cold. It may lower the snow levels again. But snow in the mountains, a little bit of rain in the valley and the coast, but not much. And then it dries out for Thursday through the weekend. That's the same story pretty much everywhere else. I've got snow levels on average for Weaverville and really Trinity County, 3,500 feet. So Weaverville, Hayfork, you're not going to see snow out of this, unfortunately, if you were hoping for snow at least. There you can see Mount Shasta City. There it is, 3,500 feet. Could see that again on Wednesday. Alturas, 4,000 feet. You could see snow in Alturas. And Susanville, you're going to be borderline where that rain transitions over to snow. So we'll see if you get any accumulating snow or not. But there you can see by Thursday through the weekend, we are looking at those dry conditions making their way back into the forecast. We got a couple of people checking in this morning. The first was Tanya. Tanya saying, good morning. Good morning to you. We've got Lisa Stevens, one of our regulars this morning. She is saying, good morning, everyone. Almost a break from the rain time. Wishing you a great day. Well, I wish you a great day today as well. We got one of our regulars as well, Curtis Brown, saying, good morning, Mike. Very quiet here last night. Little rain, no wind. That's, of course, just west of Red Bluff, where Curtis is. So thank you for that report. Interesting to see. You'll probably be looking at more rain, though, later. We've got Rachel saying, good morning. We've got Lucinda saying good morning. And she's also saying that her son is drowning out in Summit City. He said thunder with super hard rainfall. Yeah, that was part of that, what we saw yesterday. With the convergence line, which unfortunately we couldn't see it on the radar because the radar's down, but it was there and it was happening, and we certainly recognized that. There was some flooding up in north of Reading and even in the Reading area, and of course north of that. So heavy rainfall, absolutely, and there's going to be more rain where that came from, not necessarily from a convergence line, but rain nonetheless will be moving on through. Kind of a little dark out there for Lake Orville, North 4 Bay, but you can see the wet roads in Chico this morning. We've also got wet roads elsewhere. Down at Highway 99 at Neal Road. We've got the wet roads there. It's going to be pretty much wet anywhere you go this morning. So be ready for that wet drive to work. And, for many of you, this is kind of back to business as usual, right? We're kind of out of the holidays, the new year. Now it's kind of the Monday after all of that. Kids are going back to school, right? People back to work. So it's kind of getting back to the old regular routine. We got some wet conditions out there on the coast. And of course, no big surprises there. They're seeing that rain this morning. Bald Hill West, looking down at Hoopa Valley. There you can see some of the rain that we're seeing out there. Fort Jones. This is out in Scott Valley. Looks like we've got the overcast skies there this morning. And take a look at this. This is Lassen Park. And, you're looking down. Look at all that snow. Was it last week? We could see the bench. We could see the path, right? Not anymore. I mean, it is just piling up at Lassen Park, and it has been over the weekend. We got someone checking in this morning. Megan is asking, good morning, everyone. When are they expected to see snow in Alturas? My husband works there. There is going to probably be some snow in Alturas, but here's the bottom line. We're not expecting a lot of precipitation in general in Modoc County. So if you do see snow, it probably won't be much. But do note, from, say, Redding to Modoc County, there will be chain requirements, and you're going to be running into snow on some of those passes getting to Modoc County. And if you have to go over Cedar Pass, most likely you'll see some of that as well. So good question, Megan. So glad hopefully that answers your question, but not going to see a ton of snow in Alturas, but seeing snow nonetheless. Today is Monday. We got our Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals. Now, what's interesting, I was talking to Sharon Clay over at Turtle Bay, and, they live a pretty good life. The animals live a great life over there at Turtle Bay, but they're wild animals. That's one thing we have to remember. So you've got to keep that wild instinct. You have to keep their brains stimulated, if you will. So we're going to take a look at a program that they have at Turtle Bay that is specifically for all of the animals to kind of keep their brains sharp. Check it out in this week's Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals, sponsored by Grange Co-op. Hello everyone, I'm meteorologist Mike Krueger from Weather NorCal, and you are watching Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals. I've got Sharon Clay from Turtle Bay with me. Hello, good to see you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Mike.
Happy New Year time. Now, you brought out the toys. Looks like we're going to have a little play session. Is that what's going on here?
You have to get on the floor, and I got some puzzles for you, and I want to see if you can figure out how to open the 4 different things.
That might be tough. I mean, we're going back to preschool days. We'll see what happens.
So today we're going to talk about enrichment.
Okay.
So enrichment is very simple. If you just break down that word, we're going to enrich the animals. We're going to enrich their minds. We're going to keep their minds busy and active. In the wild, they always have to be finding food, staying safe, finding mates, getting out of the rainy weather, Mike, the rainy weather.
That's all my fault.
They have to find, it is your fault. And so, therefore, their mind. Then you bring them here in human care, and they don't have as much to do.
Yeah.
We give them their food, they're safe, all of that stuff. So we give them things to actually bring out natural behaviors in them and enrich their minds. So we're going to bring out one right now and kind of show you. And we simplify it sometimes into say toys, but really it's enrichment. Sometimes we play videos. Here he goes. These right now are physical enrichment where he has to use his hands. This is Mischief, our raccoon. And raccoons' greatest sense is actually their sense of touch. So you can see he's using his hands to get in there and open the boxes. And inside are treats, of course. So
it's always about the food, right?
It's always about the food, with us too.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
You put some candy in there and like, ooh, I want to
think about how
some
what
jelly
people
beans.
Do. They always say, right? What is the old expression? The way to a man's heart is through his stomach.
Yes.
So so it's always about food, and it's not always about food with them. Actually, sometimes. Food is what we call a primary reinforcer. So they need food. Everyone needs food. So food is automatically reinforcing or like a reward for us. But some of our animals like tactile, like your dog. They like to get scratched. That's like they'll do things for scratches and stuff like that. So doesn't always have to be food. And then we also enrich them with things like we literally play them videos. Like I spent yesterday watching movies. Sometimes we literally put an iPad in front of the animals and they get to listen and watch the movement on the screen.
Do they watch it? Really?
Some of them really sit there and watch the screens. It's really funny.
All right, that's funny because there are times when I'm watching, whatever at home, and sometimes the dog is like,
yeah.
You're like, wow, you're really watching this.
Yeah, so it's like the movement usually is what they're seeing. I mean, obviously they're not watching the content like we are.
They're watching the plot.
But they're watching, yeah, exactly.
What's going to happen?
Oh my gosh, it's another raccoon. They are usually just, excuse me, hello. He's like, no, excuse me, you're in my way. So these guys are watching the movement, they're listening to the sounds, and some animals will actually be able to like tell that that's like another bird or that's another whatever. So some animals do actually have that ability. Some of them don't. Some it's just the movement. But like we put a mirror in with the quail.
Okay. Yeah.
And he was sure there was another male quail in there.
Like,
and so that's, again, what he would experience in the wild is coming up across another. So it kind of stimulates the brain and enriches them. So we do all kinds of things. We do scent enrichment. Sometimes the bobcat loves cinnamon. We put all kinds of cinnamon down and she rolls in it and she like loves it. Coffee grinds, things like that. And we do actually have an Amazon wish list for people. If people want to buy things for the animals, there is an Amazon wish list. People can look it up, or we can give you the link, and people can go and purchase enrichment and other things that we need for the animals.
So I noticed didn't open up that green box.
Yeah, he'll get back to it. He goes for the easy stuff first. I love when he crawls inside the boxes and all you see is his back end. But
now, is there something in here too?
So,
okay.
But that's enrichment.
All right. Well, that is awesome. I mean, I think it's really great that, like you say, they kind of get live this kind of cushy life, if you will.
Yes.
Here at Turtle Bay. So you got to do whatever you can to kind of keep some of those wild senses going, right?
Absolutely, and it's really no different than us, right? Play your Sudoku, play your little games, play your puzzle games, keep your brain going. You retire, you need to keep your brain going or you're in trouble. So,
absolutely.
Same thing.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, good job, Mischief. You keep enriching yourself. Thank you, Sharon, and we will see you next time for another edition of Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals. Once again, I want to thank Grange Co-op for their sponsorship. They sponsor the animal family segment in general. So Pet of the Week, we got Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals, and we do a weekly segment for them as well, kind of highlighting their store, which they've got a lot of great things for everyone. So check it out at grangecoop.com. That was always fun, and now let's get to our forecast. But before we do that, we need to mention our other sponsor, and that is Wind River Resort and Casino. They have been the primary sponsor of Coffee with Krueger since day one. Since Coffee with Krueger started. At Wind River Resort and Casino, enjoy friendly service, a wide variety of specials and promotions, plus all of your favorite slots and table games. Hey, take a look at this. Now, it's kind of interesting. My wife had mentioned she saw, I think it was on social media, this or maybe another photo of what she called a moon bow. Now, I'd actually never heard that phrase before. I knew that there were rainbows that were created by the sun, the moon's light from the rain. But I was like, well, why would they call it a moon bow if it's not called a sun bow, right? It's called a rainbow. But I guess people call it a moon bow because it's fairly rare. You don't see it very often. And this is coming in from Jerry Jordan. Look at that beautiful shot there. This is in Shastina. I believe it was a day or two ago, but just a beautiful shot nonetheless. Want to thank Jerry for sending in that image. And by the way, you can share your photos from the free Weather NorCal app. If you don't have the app, why not? Number two, you can do it very easily. Just go to your app store, search for Weather Space NorCal, download the app for free, and you can upload your photos to my server, and then I can show you and everybody else the cool photo that you sent. So check it out on your iPhone and from your Android. Let's get to your weather headlines. And, we got the rain out there. We got more rain today, and there are flooding concerns that continue today. And I'd say for the valley, I'd say for the surrounding foothills, mudslides and debris flows are going to be a concern as well. Now, snow levels are dropping, and we've already started to see them drop down to as low as 3,500 feet, locally lower in some cases. As of right now, and we'll have to check the latest road conditions, but nothing on I-5, but snow is accumulating on I-5 in Mount Shasta City. We do expect a break from all of this by tomorrow. But then another weak system coming in on Wednesday before it all moves on out. Thursday is the transition day from the wet to dry conditions. And once we dry things out, folks, it's going to stay dry for a while. And we're going to get into all of that in our deeper dive forecast, sponsored by Shasta Hearing Aids.
I'm Gabe Kossel with Shasta Hearing Aids. Let's talk about something I see all the time, what I call the crazy cycle. People want to hear better, but the right technology feels too expensive, so they settle for something cheaper that doesn't match their lifestyle. Our Here For You program breaks that cycle. You get the best technology at an affordable price, plus a lifetime service plan that keeps everything clean, up to date, and working exactly as it should. Our goal is to make sure no hearing aids end up in the drawer. We break the cycle and deliver what quality care really sounds like.
All right, I love that program, by the way, that he's putting on there. I mean, it's one of those things where, like when you have a cell phone program, and then you can kind of pay it off over time and, all that stuff. Same concept here. And it's a great concept that he's developed here. All right, take a look at the temperatures out there right now. Upper 40s to about 50 degrees out in the valley. We got 30s and 40s for the higher elevations, mid 40s right now along the coast. So here's a look at the radar. So what we're seeing here is that push that came in last night for the coast, and unfortunately probably produced a little bit of flooding there. And of course, not to mention the fact that they've got more of the king tides today, and that's going to create more coastal flooding as a result. But that all is moving on in. Now, here's what's happening. And what we're noticing is this. The rain is coming in. We got this stream of moisture coming in from the south. Now, we're going to have what looks to be a constant feed of moisture through a good portion of the day for the valley. What this is going to mean is that a fairly steady day of light to moderate rainfall for the valley and the surrounding foothills and even some of the mountains. I don't think we're going to, once this kind of pushes a little bit off to the east, we're probably not going to see as much rainfall for the coast later on this late morning to early afternoon. But looking at the satellite image, you can clearly see the spin of low pressure. Now, this is what we just call a trough. So this is not the strongest of storm systems. We're not looking at a cold front, for example, but it is strong enough that we're going to see the winds pick up, but not to the extent that we saw over this past weekend. And you can see the spin of low pressure right here. You can see the colder air that's getting wrapped up. So as this continues to move eastward, it's going to continue just to kind of enhance the cooler air that's already in place and keep those snow levels fairly low for today. Now, there is a flood watch until this afternoon for all of the areas in green. Do note, though, that I do anticipate that rain through a good portion of the day. This may be extended into this evening because, as you know, when you see rain, sometimes you get that half hour to hour or more delayed response because you can see, for example, there may not be any rain in the valley, but if it rains up here, that eventually runs off and works its way down to the valley. So it takes time for that water to work its way down into those lower elevations. Now, there is a flash flood risk due to the amount of rainfall that we're seeing, plus the very saturated ground as it is. So you can see here for the valley, and I still think we could see some out towards southern Humboldt County as well. So let's walk you through the timing of all this on Futurecast. So a couple of things to take note to start off. Snow levels, keep in mind for today, on average, 3,500 feet, give or take. They'll probably go up and down a little bit here throughout the day today, but you get the idea. They're starting off fairly low. We're also going to be looking at that steady rainfall for the valley. By the early to mid-morning hours, we're beginning to see that steady flow, and you've got there's that constant stream of moisture and that steady light to moderate rainfall in the valley. Notice we're still seeing snow, and this right here, folks, that's heavy snow. So this could create some big problems on Highway 89, on I-5 this morning because you got that heavy snow, and then of course in the mountains east of I-5. Now, Highway 299 at this point still looks to be in the form of rain. Buckhorn Summit later this morning and into the afternoon, maybe borderline seeing some of the snow. Highway 36 has been seeing snow, which is why there are chain requirements there. Scott Mountain Pass on Highway 3, snow. There's going to be snow up there. You can almost pretty much guarantee that. And, upwards of, a foot of snow is a very good possibility once all is said and done, maybe even more than that. And then, of course, up towards Modoc County, you're seeing some of that snow eventually working its way in. Now, what you'll see here by 6 p.m., you see how it's not very heavy. We're kind of getting that typical shadowing off to the east here for places like Modoc County, eastern Lassen County. But look at this, through the day, we're still seeing that steady flow of moisture and that steady rainfall for the valley. This is why I'm concerned about flooding in parts of the valley, especially many of the low-lying areas, creeks and streams, right, the roads. You know, unfortunately, some residential areas may see that as well. But then as we go into Tuesday morning, look what's happening by tonight, tomorrow. We're seeing a break. Now, you'll notice the mostly cloudy skies. There may still be some clouds, low clouds, maybe some drizzle at times, especially for the first half of the day on Tuesday. Maybe a passing sprinkle or light shower, but we're getting a break. A well-deserved break. But look at this. All right, see on Wednesday morning, we've got a weak disturbance that'll be clipping us. However, that's not it. The bulk of it comes in Wednesday evening, Wednesday night. You can still see more snow off to the north, more rain out towards the coast, and then that kind of dies out as it pushes down to the south and east. So we've got potential for more showers Wednesday night, and even Thursday morning. But look what happens for Thursday afternoon. It's clearing out. And this, my friends, this is going to be the beginning of our drier trend that is moving on in. And it's going to be dry for Friday, dry for this upcoming weekend, dry most likely even through next week. Taking a look at the rainfall totals here. This is going to take you through 11 o'clock on Wednesday. You know, I'd say about 1 inch to 1.5 inches for the valley. And I don't think we're going to see as much for the coast because, as I mentioned, that stream of moisture is mainly going to be over the valley, not as much for the coast. So this is a different forecast model. Yeah, and it's got just about 1 inch to, I'd say even 1.5 inches in some cases here for the valley, and maybe a bit more. Depends on how heavy that rain gets at times throughout the day today. Not as much off to the east, but again, you're still seeing about 1/2 inch to maybe even close to 1 inch for the valley, for the coast that is. Here you can see for Siskiyou and northern Trinity County, there is a winter storm warning. Also just to the east of the valley, there's also a winter weather advisory. The air is in purple. So starting off with Siskiyou County, 6 to 12, I put a foot mark in there again. 6 to 12 inches, 6 to 12 inches above 4,000 feet. So again, this is why I do think we could see some accumulating snow, and already seeing that for Mount Shasta City. 6 to 12, probably not, but you know, it may be in that 3 to 6, 4 to 8 range, right? Especially as you start going higher elevation in Mount Shasta City, because Mount Shasta City proper is about 3,500 feet. Then you go to some of the higher elevations in town, 4,000 feet, for example, you might see a bit more snow up there. But 1 to 2 feet of snow is possible above 5,000 feet. Now, for northern Trinity County, it's mainly for Scott Mountain Pass, where we're most concerned about on Highway 3. 8 to 12 inches of snow is a very good possibility there. I do have the inches there instead of the foot. Until 4 p.m. off to the east. So 2 to 6 inches is possible above 4,500 feet. Keep in mind, Chester, right? That's actually, should say 3 to 6 inches, by the way. But Chester is at 4,500 feet. Chester, you could see 3 to 6 inches of snow. Now, above 6,000 feet, 1 to 3 feet of snow is a possibility. So, of course, that could be the case off to the east. But the winter weather advisory for the areas in purple is because there's going to be kind of a cutoff. We're not going to see as much of that moisture working its way as far east as the eastern Lassen or even eastern Plumas County, but still could see some snow out there. So take a look at some of the forecast snow totals. We're going to get you through time here. 3 to 6 for Mount Shasta City. I think it's a very good possibility. Chester may be a little bit more than that and less than that some areas here. So you're going to have to go up pretty high in elevation before you start seeing that significant snow. But some of these lower mountain communities or high mountain communities could still be looking at some of that accumulating snow. Looking at the road conditions here, this is kind of combining what the road temperature will be and what type of precipitation we will see. Now, if you notice here, midday, it's kind of tapering off, but it's heavy snow surrounding Mount Shasta City on I-5 there. So we could see snow through the morning hours on I-5. And I would not be surprised if we eventually saw chain requirements there, if we're not already as we speak. And then, of course, off to the east, more snow. There's Highway 36. We'll probably see more snow coming in later on this evening and tonight. Now, look at 5 p.m. today. It's kind of back into that kind of a rain-snow type of mix on I-5. But again, you're borderline. Could still see some accumulating snow there later this afternoon and even into this evening. Let's talk about the winds. You know, the winds are going to be a little gusty at times, but certainly not to the extent that we saw over the weekend. But 20, 30 miles an hour, not out of the question. But later on this evening, later on tonight and tomorrow, we do expect to see those calmer winds working their way back into the forecast. So the winds for the most part are kind of moving on out. We've just got one more day today to see that. So there's today's system. Here's Wednesday's system kind of passing to our north. It's not going to do a ton. And then high pressure right here. That's what's moving in by Thursday, Friday through the weekend. That's going to give us drier conditions here and warmer. So precipitation outlook as we go into mid-January, drier than normal conditions, warmer than normal conditions, but this is not a heat wave. All right, let's take a look at that 10-day trend. I'll show you what I'm talking about. The normal high for Reading is 56, for example, but we'll be more like the low 60s by the time we do go into the weekend and early next week. So yes, warmer, but still not hot by any stretch of the imagination. Now you can see the lake levels still looking very healthy. All the rain that's coming in is filling up those lakes, well over 100% for that historical average. And the wave heights are showing signs of dropping not only today, but especially for tomorrow. So don't anticipate any more small craft advisories. The king tide kind of moving on out, but there still is a coastal flood advisory for basically northern Humboldt all the way down to central Humboldt County. We've seen flooding there all weekend long because of the king tides. We've got more of that today, but the good news is we are expected to see it go from 8 today down to 7.4 and then eventually 6 by the time we get to Tuesday, Wednesday. And that's really going to be the case here, even for Crescent City, just kind of give you an idea that we are seeing that king tide finally move on out of here, and things should get back to normal around, at least for the coast. Now, looking at marine forecast, northeast winds at about 5 to 10 knots, waves from the southwest at 2 feet at 5 seconds, and from the west at 7 feet at about 11 seconds. All right, so here's your neighborhood forecast, sponsored in part by Dignity Health. We're going to take a look at the temperatures for Trinity County, low to mid 40s. So we got that break on Thursday. Another chance coming on Wednesday, and then across the board, everyone will be looking at those drier conditions here by the end of the week and this upcoming weekend. But until then, rain today, more showers again for Wednesday. All right, so let's take a look at Siskiyou County, and there you can see for Siskiyou County, mainly upper 30s to low 40s. Snow levels 3,500 feet. Then again on Wednesday as well. 4,000 feet for Modoc County for both today and Wednesday, drying out and beginning to warm up slightly toward the end of the week and this upcoming weekend. 4,000 feet also for the Southern Cascades and Northern Sierra. For the Valley, wet all day. You're looking at that steady light to moderate rainfall throughout the day today, and then eventually a bit of a break on Thursday. Still drizzly though in some cases here, and then Wednesday you've got more wet weather. Not a ton though. Today is really that last day of that just, significant amount of rain. And then once that moves on out, we're going to kind of see a drier trend moving on in. And by the way, one thing I haven't really touched on a whole lot, because we'll probably be touching on it later, remember that Thule fog we saw several weeks ago before all this happened? We could be looking at the return of that Thule fog making its way back into the area. So there you go. Let's see here. Checking with some of you here this morning. We've got Christine. Christine is saying, morning, just raining in Reading. Very soggy Monday. We got Jackie Dixon, one of our regulars out here. Looks like good morning from Trinidad. Interesting here. She's saying that Trinidad broken water tanks over the weekend have triggered a public health order to boil our water until further notice. Well, good to know. See, that's what we're all here for each other. Thank you, Jackie, for that information. Hope you stay safe and, boil that water. I guess that's just, again, we saw really a lot of that flooding along the coast as a result of those king tides over the weekend. And unfortunately, that's on top of the fact that we also saw a lot of rainfall. So just kind of a double whammy, if you will, unfortunately. Well, that should do it for us this morning. Let's take a look at the latest road conditions here. We got Jerry Smith-Bell saying good morning. And then Christina saying that's depressing to know that the fog might return. You're right. I know. That was not fun. And hopefully it's not to the extent that it was. But, the conditions may just set themselves up just right that may happen. Let's see again what's going on here. We'll go here. That's good. There we go. Looks like we're not seeing any chain requirements on I-5 just yet. But again, take a look at this. I'm going to show you what it looks like on I-5 right now. That's at I-5 Mount Shasta at the middle of your screen right there. Right? So let me double check to see if what the latest chain requirements are. We'll do that together. We're going to go to weathernorcal.com. Let's do this. weathernorcal.com. There we go. All right, we're going to go to weathernorcal.com, and we will go to, oops, went a little too far, didn't I? Road conditions, right there. I'm going to click on that. And let's start with taking a look at what the latest road conditions are. So it's going to take us to the road conditions map. And I still don't see it on I-5. It's just off I-5 at the intersection there. But again, we all know what it looks like out there. Let's take a look at the road conditions. You can kind of see different areas here. There's I-5. We'll take a better look here on our weather computer here so you can kind of see. So once again, there's a look at I-5. There's a look at Snowman Summit. There are chain requirements for Snowman Summit. Look at Highway 99, 199 that is, in Del Norte County, right? 2,000 feet. We've got snow, and it's coming down. It's definitely coming down up there. Shingle Down proper at about 3,500 feet. We are seeing rain and not snow just yet. There's Lassen Park, the entrance of Lassen Park. Looking at Bogard Ranger Station, 5,600 feet. So there are chain requirements there. This is Highway 36 at 89 near Chester. Looks like they saw some snow on the highway there. In Chester itself, most likely seeing snow. Highway 36 at 44. This is on Highway 36. You can see, I believe there's some chain requirements in that area here, but northwest Susanville looks to be wet, and so does southeast Susanville as well, so no snow up there. This is Hatchet Mountain, where you can see, there it is, Caltrans snowplow. Excuse me. Some snowplow, keeping things clear, keeping things safe for you. Thank you to Caltrans for all their wonderful work that they do on those highways there. 299 at 89, and there you can see the Four Corners. This is northeast of Boerne. Looks wet, but not necessarily snowy. And there's a look at Cedar Pass. Seeing some of the snow up there as well. This is Buckhorn Summit. It doesn't look like we're seeing snow up there. At least this is, by the way, the camera that you see for Buckhorn Summit. It's not actually on Buckhorn Summit. It's actually below the summit, which is a little over 3,000 feet. So this is semi-good representation, but it's about 350 to 400 feet below actual Buckhorn Summit. And sometimes just a few hundred feet can make all the difference in the world, or even 100 feet. Oregon Mountain, wet. There it is, Berry Summit. Now we're seeing more of a colored vision. It's not snow, as I would expect here. So definitely kind of interesting there. So just note that that's what you'll be dealing with here if you have to go on to, we'll do one last look at, what am I doing here? Here we go. We'll take one last look at the chain requirements. So basically east of I-5, chain requirements, especially above, say, 3,500, 4,000 feet. Highway 36 west, southern Trinity County, chain requirements. So again, you are going to be dealing with those. And a lot of these are for big rigs, by the way, but you just make sure that you're carrying your chains always. Whenever you see those, even if they're for big rigs, note the conditions can change rapidly, and eventually they'll require chains for everybody, even if you have an all-wheel drive sometimes. So there you go. Make sure you got those chains handy. All right, that's going to do it for us this morning, folks. Let's see if anybody's checking in this morning. Well, there we go. If you've got anybody else kind of checking in. We've got a few people checking in this morning. We've got Jerry Smith Bell. Good morning. Well, good morning to you. Thank you for chiming in this morning. I certainly appreciate that. We got Jeff Johnson. Good morning. Ready to dry out for a bit. I agree with you 100%. We will be looking at those drier conditions here. We've also got Michael saying, good morning, Mike. Good morning. Good morning from a mic to a mic. Thank you for checking in this morning. All right, well, let's take a look at some of the cameras as we kind of wrap up the show this morning. We'll take a look at some of these awesome, beautiful cameras from across the region. And in the meantime, you have yourselves a great rest of your day. By the way, I'm going to be taking the rest of the day off, and meteorologist Aurora Murray will be giving you your afternoon and evening updates. Of course, we're going to be kind of working as a team. So she's going to be in charge of just, making sure that the forecast is being generated and that you get an update on the forecast. But I will, of course, keep an eye on things as well, keep you updated on social media. You can always check the Weather NorCal website, the free Weather NorCal app. You can get the latest conditions there as well. So you can check in with the latest forecast with meteorologist Aurora Murray. for the rest of the day. In the meantime, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. And we will see you tomorrow morning on Coffee with Krueger. Have a good one.